Oh my gosh, look, Amy's at my house.
I am coming to you live from
Stop. They do
Corvallis.
this. They do this. Dakota, stop. Hi, Jessica. How are you? So everyone who comes live with me from my house knows. Hey, Cindy. Everyone knows the dogs.
Oh,
They're problematic.
they're just going to be there.
So Dakota, go lay down.
okay, I'm going to share some
Amy's going to share that we're here. And look, Amy Wolff joined.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, look at that.
Cindy.
Hi, Cindy. Hi, Jessica. I finally got Amy to drive down to Corvallis. And you know what the best part about it is? She sent me this cute little voice message and was like, it's such a pretty drive.
I always say I feel so bad that you came to me. Now I don't feel bad.
Don't feel bad because that's why I do it.
There was fog evaporating from the farm fields and trees lined with golden, orange, red, like this. I haven't seen it. It's beautiful.
It's good.
Sorry, don't touch the hair.
No, you can touch it.
It was a great drive.
Yeah.
And it didn't take long. You're right.
It doesn't take long, and it's a really pretty drive, and it's not that big of a deal.
Friend, we have so much to talk about.
Go.
Oh, God.
Do you want me to do the Christian witch thing too, so we can get that out of the way? It's wrapped into my manifesto.
Yeah, tell me.
Okay, so here's the thing. I finally decided. So I've come out many times in my life. I came out as a lesbian. I came out as a bisexual person.
Were those two different times?
Oh yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So I came out as a lesbian when I was 24. Came out as bisexual when I was 34.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. And then, and now I've decided to come out as, hey, Letitia, as a Christian witch. Now, you and I have discussed this before. And Amy's like, what the hell is a Christian witch? But she would never say hell, so that's not it. You can't be Christian and a witch. So the reason this fits so well with our conversation and our manifestos today is that I truly believe that you can be both, because God would not have created me this way if he didn't believe that I should use my magic for good. So here's my argument about the Christian witchness. So if you believe in God and you believe in God's law, which is love, and you understand witchcraft for what it really is, it's not dark magic.
Not all of it. Would you
Nope.
say there are some veins?
Very rare.
Okay.
Very rare.
Okay.
But back in the day, this is where you have to know history.
Yeah. Back
in the day, hey, Letitia, I know obviously you can. You say this because you're a Christian and a witch. So back in the day, in order for Christianity to spread and survive, back in like really a long time ago, like we're talking like 8th, 9th, 10th centuries, like way a long time ago, that you had to work with the people of the day. And if the people of the day needed to be convinced of Christianity, but they were still going to healers and witches and people who were doing magic, that it created trouble for the Christian church. And so all of a sudden, these healers that people have been going to forever, for time and eternity, became bad people. They had to become bad people. We had to have the image of the witch as a bad hag.
Why? Why do they have to be?
Because if you look at it historically, when people were promoting Christianity, they thought that was the only way to survive, was to create a pagan Christian wound that divided people in order for Christians to move forward. Like historically, you can see it in the record that this started to happen. So I think the reason this is important now in 2019 is, for one thing, I'm seeing stories posted like on Twitter, like the millennials are poo-pooing Christianity and becoming witches. Now, I have to say this.
She's already laughing at herself.
The continued binary of you can only be one or the other is really irritating to me.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a both and.
Right? I know you do, yeah.
And so I don't think that it's an either or scenario.
Yeah.
And I think that, and this is actually one of my manifesto points that I'll get to.
Okay, they don't know what the manifesto is yet.
Right.
Right. Okay, that's fine.
I think that it is really important to question what we have been raised to believe by white, straight Christian men.
100% agree.
Okay.
Critical thinking.
Yes.
Zoom out.
I want us to start pushing the envelope. Now, here's the thing. I thought I was being innovative. Turns out there's like a boat ton of Christian witches. Here I thought I was like the leader and the first one.
Rebel!
I was the rebel. I was like the first one.
You do love being the rebel.
I do love being the rebel. I do love being, thanks Letitia, it's true. I do love being the rebel, but I'm like, damn, I'm like not the first and I'm not the last. So, so like Joan of Arc is a really good example of a Christian and a witch because, you know, she was. So, hello, Chancey Dawn. So anyway, that's kind of my shtick about the Christian witch. And this actually ties in. I'm so glad you decided that you wanted to come Facebook Live with me because this ties into what Amy is really excited about. So Amy came up with this great idea that we should do fiery manifestos for 2020.
Listen, a couple weeks ago, can I tell this backstory? Okay.
Tell the backstory.
So I told Missy, we need to do this thing.
But don't punch too hard on the table because we're shaking.
I just feel it, friends. Okay. A couple weeks ago, last week, I don't know, whenever that was, I read a Facebook post of a friend that shared an article about the Supreme Court with a case about LGBTQ folks being discriminated in the workforce, and which I totally am on board with. That shouldn't happen. Okay.
Yep.
Hi, Jessica. And I watched comments going back and forth between two people bashing on a man I know who is a gay Republican, and they were bashing on him, not using his name, but I knew exactly who they were talking about, and it was hateful. So here's an article, don't hate, and then hating on someone. I mean, and not
being a gay Republican.
Yeah, and not anger, hating, like very clearly. I don't know how they exist.
Which I have to tell you, in the gay community, they're like unicorns. Gay Republicans are like unicorns.
Well, it's kind of confusing to me.
So
but that's
nuanced. To a lot of us. That's nuanced.
So, okay, so anyway, all I wrote, which I should just stop posting sometimes, but you know the feeling. I wrote a comment. It's something about like, oh man, hate begets hate. When we feel hated, we hate.
Yes.
And that in return, someone who was in that conversation, who I did not know, said, who are you? You white housewife sign maker. I love your signs! To have an opinion about discrimination. You are in one of the last categories of someone who's discriminated. You can't be part of this conversation.
Listen, Christian white lady, shut your yapper. Well, then I got involved.
Well, I text Missy, I'm so fired up. I just got called a white housewife.
Well, she's not a housewife.
Well, even so, great. Kudos to me. I mean, so I wrote a fiery Facebook post that said, I was just labeled this, told I was,
hi, Sarah.
They were gatekeeping me out of the conversation about discrimination, because what would I know about being discriminated, even though I was not evaluating I wasn't validating or devaluating anyone's discrimination. I was simply saying how they were talking about it. There was a lot of hate going on for being really mad about hate happening. And I got fired up. And so in that Facebook post I wrote in response, I said, we need to write a freaking manifesto for 2020. And the manifesto is going to be a commitment. Anyone who signs up, I think I maybe mentioned something about signing in blood. I was really passionate. Was we need to commit to being better than this, that we don't attack people, that we don't choose to match hate with hate. And people will say, Amy, for someone who has never felt like your identity, people are an affront to who you are. You don't know that feeling. Quit telling us to not hate. I think hate is a rightful response. You don't know. I would say, talk to my friend May.
Because hate is a response, but that doesn't mean it has to be the right response.
So I tagged Missy and I said, you write the fiery manifesto. We write the fiery manifesto, coming from a lot of different perspectives, a lot of different faiths.
Amy's ripped up and on fire.
I am, because listen, 2020 is coming, and we're gonna love the clickbait, and we're gonna love to hate, and we're gonna love the division, because anger is so justifying. It feels so good to be angry, and it feels so good to be belonging to a group that's full of that anger and just tossing it at other people. 2020 is coming, and I want people on board to say, we will not. I don't care how witty. I don't care how much I might agree. I will not join the hateful rhetoric. I refuse. And I think we are the best two people to write that manifesto.
I totally agree. Hey, Leanne. Hey, Liz. Hey, Sarah. I totally agree. And I'm really excited about it because I just had this experience over the weekend where I just dove right in. I went right in for the swear words and the jugular and the fuck this shit. I had a friend post a post about the Hillary Clinton Tulsi Gabbard thing, and the friend said that Hillary needs to sit down and shut it.
And you didn't like it.
No, did I not like it?
Yeah.
And I went right in, and then I realized what I had done. Because I also called Tulsi Gabbard a bitch because
you did.
I did.
Yeah,
I did.
Yeah,
I think
you were angry.
I was so mad.
Yeah.
And so it got totally out of control. And I realized, and this is part of my manifesto actually, I was like, oh, taking myself right out of that. You did. That's not productive. And I actually sent that person a private message, and I said, this is my no-no zone. I have PTSD from 2016. You didn't know me in 2016. I know exactly where I'm headed, and I don't like it, and I am never going to talk politics with you again. And
boundaries.
That I set my very clear boundaries. I was like, I love you. I want to preserve our friendship, so I'm never talking politics with you again.
Yeah, I'm not
never talk. I will be friends with you, but I will never talk politics with you again. And they got really upset.
Oh.
And they were like, but you always talk about having uncomfortable conversations. And I'm like, yep. And I know when I have to stop myself because it's going from uncomfortable conversation to I will fucking annihilate you.
Well, that's a pretty...
And I have to know my boundaries. And it's really, really important to know your boundaries.
Yeah.
Especially in politics. And so I was like, whoo, pulling right out of that one.
Good for you.
That's not going to be good. That's not going to go good. And I still want to be friends with that person.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, is that we are, once again, walking into the no-no zone.
Yeah.
And I want to stay out of the no-no zone.
Can we all hashtag no-no zone?
No-no zone.
That's a good one. Okay, so Missy and I have come today not knowing what each other have said or written down, but I have 5 things I would like to add to this manifesto that hopefully you would consider seriously committing to. Like, seriously, 2020, I am in with them.
And we're going to type it up, and we're going to have a document.
We're going to make it a thing.
Put it on the blog, and it's going to go everywhere.
And
yeah, and you got to write it in blood.
No,
that's what witches do.
They
Just
do?
kidding. No. But you must believe that they do.
Please tell me that there's like...
That's how you keep witches bad. Blood.
Around the cauldron.
The blood of babies.
Oh my gosh.
That's a thing.
Okay, so I have 5 things.
Okay,
Missy has 5 things,
okay.
And we don't know each other's.
Okay, I want you to go first.
I think there's going to be overlap.
Hi, Jessica.
I mean, I'm imagining.
You're right about the hate.
Okay, so here is my number 1. And some of these are really practical, and some of mine are kind of high level. So number 1, I would like to add to our manifesto, and you can say, no, can't commit to that. Or, yeah, that should be in there. I will not, how about this? I will not repost hateful rhetoric, no matter how clever.
Yes, I can totally commit to that.
But some memes are so good. They're such a ringer. They're such a, ooh, that poke the bear so good.
This includes memes and GIFs, correct?
All things that are witty and clever and bashing the others. And oh my gosh, that's so funny. Share. And
I will commit to that.
Hateful rhetoric.
I will commit to that.
You could commit to that.
Yeah. I've already had to start practicing because of the no-no zone thing. So I was like, oh, I'm going to repost that. And then I was like, no, I'm not. Yeah, I snorted.
Okay.
This is way too fun.
So that would be number 1 on the manifesto. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Like, Amy, that's, if it's good, I got to share.
I'm not going to share any of that. I will commit to that.
Okay. All right. I'm curious what people think. All right.
I'm curious what people are willing to commit to, too.
What's your number 1?
My number 1 is respect each other's boundaries.
Okay, what do you mean?
When someone says, I am done talking about this topic, say, okay, don't push it, and just stop giving it energy and walk away. Especially on Facebook.
I think that's hard.
Yeah.
Because like your friend thought, wait, I thought we were engaging in really important discourse. You're muting the opinion you don't like by saying, I'm not going to have this conversation anymore. Yep. It's like when me and Jake get in a fight and I'm like, no, I'm done. And I'm done because I don't want to hear him.
I can't go in circles.
Yeah. I think what's important to realize. And that
Jim and I have a safe word when we fight.
You do. Why don't we have a safe word? Because we don't really fight.
We don't fight.
Yeah. I think that'd be really hard as a friend to offer grace and say, you're not trying to mute my voice. You're not trying to avoid a difficult conversation.
No.
You're hitting a wall where it's tone.
Yeah.
It's tone and reaction.
And where I know myself so well that I will just annihilate you, and that's not healthy.
You go
or
into
good for anybody. Yeah, because I go into that defensive, angry attack mode.
Yeah.
Because that's my default.
So I think it takes
that's not joyful.
No, I think it requires a lot of grace and friendship to be the person. Like if you said, Amy, boundary, I'm done.
Yeah. And
I would be like, no, you're not done. You can't mute the conversation to go, oh no, I should really honor her. I can offer you grace. Okay. Yeah, and not judge you.
So can you respect each other's boundaries?
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't have a lot of, I don't know if I've ever been told I'm done. Well, besides in marriage and arguments, but in this kind of thing, I don't know if I've heard people ask for boundaries.
Okay.
So we should ask and give.
Ask and give boundaries. I like that. I'm going to make a note about that. Amy's first one is such a good one, especially with all the shady social media action from shady sources.
And
yes.
And listen.
Russia party of one, your table's waiting.
I really think that's going to be harder than you think it is. I think when you find something really funny and witty that validates your opinion,
I totally think it's going to be
really
difficult.
Hard.
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard. But are you willing to ask and give boundaries?
I think we should.
Okay. Good.
And I think some of that is not necessarily has to be spoken. No. I can be reading something and realize it's a trigger. Stop.
Yeah.
Move on. Right. So that's internal and external.
Exactly. Yeah. You have to know thyself.
Yeah. That's good. Okay. My number 2. Are you ready?
Yes.
I commit to processing holy anger, meaning I might be completely validated in my anger. It could be righteous. It could be important sometimes.
Righteous fury.
Yeah. I will commit to processing my holy anger with the right people in the right place.
Ooh, how are you defining right people in right place?
It's not Facebook posts.
No.
It's with people face to face, or maybe it is sending a text to the trusted friend. Like, I'm so ticked.
Yeah.
I am so ticked. And here's the point. I wanted to say, like, don't engage with anger on this thing of social media, which is where we tend to engage politics, I would say the most, perhaps. And that's not the point. We've talked about the role of anger, and you've changed some thoughts on that. And I have even changed my thoughts that anger is a natural reaction, and we should kind of honor what's happening in us. But I think processing it, you got to do it with your people. So the people that take to Twitter and in their anger just,
people get on Twitter before they've had their coffee. Like, it's ridiculous. but it's the slinging that's the problem. Yeah. And I will challenge you on this. I don't think it can just be with your people. It has to be people who are willing to allow you the space.
Yeah.
They have to be safe people, but they don't necessarily have to be entirely your people.
Oh, I think I was meaning that term as in safe people.
Okay.
Like, so people you trust.
Yeah, people you trust.
Not people who might
So say it again.
Yeah, I commit to processing my holy anger, my anger with the right people in the right place, and that's not social media. Now, engaging with opinions, engaging in conversations, sure. I'm talking about with your anger. What do you do with it? Well, you don't ignore it, but you get with the right
people. You've come a long way on that one. On the anger thing. Yeah.
I don't think it should stay anger, and I don't think it should result in hate, and I don't think it should come out in reaction and defensiveness.
One of the things that I've been learning is that anger is not our natural default. It's like that actually for most people, joy and happiness is our natural default, but that we are trained to be angry before we can connect with things that make us feel righteous fury.
My mom always said anger is a secondary emotion.
Yeah.
It's almost always hurt.
Right. Yeah. Hey, Mandy.
Yeah.
Hey, Lindsay.
Okay, so that was my number 2 commitment in our manifesto.
Process holy anger.
I don't know if
I like the right place, the word right, but I'm gonna
Is it with strangers online?
Oh God, no.
Okay, so how do we define?
Well, so for me, the right people in the right place are the people that I feel safe enough to express my righteous fury without being cruel or mean.
So let's get practical. Who is it not? It's not the world on social media is where you're going to have conversations about your anger with your anger. It's not strangers on social media.
No.
I don't think it's the uncle, whoever, fill in the blank, who votes completely opposite from you, and you just
want to get into an argument with them.
No. So it's probably
Sarah
not
James, safe place. Yeah.
It's probably not the person that is in 100% disagreement with you and as fiery.
Right.
It's probably not that person.
Mm-mm. No. I think it's people who can help you find the balance.
Yeah.
And because we're going to get emotional. Mandy's like, amen.
So when we write this manifesto, which again will make something concrete, and hopefully you guys can actually co-create in some of your comments here, that we reword that a bit so it's a bit more clear and something that we feel good.
I like safe place or something like that. But we can wordsmith the rightness.
Yeah.
Because who's determining what's right and wrong?
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway. Okay. My number 2 is to call out racism and sexism when you see it, even though people will get mad about it. Do it anyway. Be willing to lean into the discomfort.
So, I have a question for you.
Yes.
I'm a practical thinker, and I don't commit to things I don't mean. So if that was in the manifesto, my question would be this. I've been doing a lot of learning and listening when it comes to racism in particular.
Yep.
I'm reading a book right now. It's blowing my mind. A person of color recommended it to me. It is called, what?
Go ahead.
What, am I the wrong term?
No.
The book is called Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome, and it's really hard for me to read.
Yeah. Have you read White Fragility?
No, that's my next one. Yeah, that's my next. It's on my second. So I am learning. I am listening. I am seeing more clearly. I'm reading the news more differently. What does it look like to call it out? Like, I'm doing the internal work. What are you asking of me externally?
Here's an example of calling out racism. So we had on our Core Values People page, someone posted a really racist meme. And another
on the
person
city Facebook?
On the city Facebook, like on like our community page, right? Posted we're super racist here in Core Values. We don't like people of color in Core Values. So yeah,
not you, but we,
right? Yeah. We as a community, really, we're racist, y'all. So someone called them out and said, and very politely was like, hey, so. Asked the administrators to take it down. The administrators wouldn't take it down. So they went to Facebook and were like, you have to take this down because nobody else will. And then said, can we be better? Like, can we actually start a dialogue about what it means to post racist memes on our community's page? We need to be open to everybody, not just white people. We cannot keep being racist. And that person is being annihilated on Facebook. Totally annihilated.
Oh,
like completely.
What's the pushback?
You don't get to tell me what to say.
Yeah.
And that's why I say be willing to lean into the discomfort. Because if you see something racist or you see someone doing something racist, calling out that racism and I said sexism too, because we have to call these things when we see them, even though people are going to get angry at us. Like when people are objectifying girls' bodies or when people are being sexist about men, because people are sexist about men too, and it's very annoying. So I would like people to commit to doing it anyway, even though it's uncomfortable.
That's another hard one to commit to because that's risky. This feels risky. Not that I'm unwilling. I'm trying to imagine a group of people willing to commit to that. That's hard.
Yeah.
Calling it out. I mean, would it be helpful to have like some written thoughts of what that could sound like? So it doesn't sound like you're sexist, chill out.
No, not like that.
I know, but it might be helpful if in our manifesto, we give suggestions of what it would be like to call someone out where you're not accusing, but you're revealing.
Right. So here is,
because in the name of calling out, we can actually burn bridges.
So here so here are some guides that I got from my conference a couple of weeks ago when people were talking about racism and Christianity in particular. So they were talking about social justice in the context of Christianity and racism.
Okay.
What are people saying? Newburgh is the same. Yeah, Sarah, I know you've had a lot of problems up in Newburgh with racism. Mandy has to go coach a client, but she'd love to hear more about calling out and not quite explicit racism. Okay, you'll hear more about that for sure. Be vulnerable, says Sarah. Letitia says, I called someone out in our company Facebook conversation. Somebody was making racist comments and politely told them that's not okay. Yeah, I mean.
And how'd it go?
Yeah, Letitia, how'd it go? That's really what I want to know.
Were you accused of limiting free speech? How did your attempt at polite?
So here is what the recommendations were from the people of color who were on this panel.
Okay.
So how can you do the best that you can? So that was the question. Like the question was, how can you do the best that you can when you're calling out racism and sexism and other issues? So the recommendation was let go of trying to control everything. So you can't control the outcome of how people will react, but speaking out is the purpose. So controlling how people react to it and remembering that you are the only one that you can control. So you have to work on yourself and what you're willing to speak out about and not necessarily try and control how everybody reacts to.
So that's like an internal intention setting. Yeah. My head's in the right spot to even lean into that.
If you're going to call out racism and sexism, you have to be willing to lean into that discomfort.
And not own.
Yep.
You're not convincing. Right. You're not, yeah.
And also the other thing that I think is really important in this context is to recognize that you don't have all the answers. So, so looking at really recognizing that, asking questions that are invitational and not confrontational.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe a strategy to calling out is asking a question. A question that kind of reveals the nonsense that is racism, right? I don't know. I can commit to this. I'm curious how let's
see how it plays out. I mean, you don't know. Yeah. The other thing I think that is really important is that we have to stop trying to engage in perfect activism and perfect action. So we don't live, one of the points that someone made was, how can you stay in a place of tension and stop making everything a perfect Pinterest board? That was literally what they said. Because this is not a Pinterest board, people. Like, this is life.
And so they're humans.
Yeah. And so there is a tension that has to be managed when you're calling out racism and sexism. But you have to lean into that discomfort. You can't walk away from it.
I think also, this has to do with another.
So Letitia answered your question about how it turned out. So probably lots of others were thinking the same. I was nervous of the possible backlash, but it bothered me so much I couldn't let it lie. And that is exactly it. You have to be willing to just remember you can't control how other people react.
Yeah.
You can only control how you engage. Yeah. And being invitational instead of confrontational, I think, is huge.
I thought of a situation a couple years back. Unfortunately, it was a Christian nonprofit that is widely, most people probably wouldn't recognize them, but they're really respected within the people that they interact with. And there was an internal email, and it was very discriminatory against LGBTQ community, and no one said anything.
Right.
And when someone sent it to me and said, "You'll never believe this internal email," and no one has been like, whoa, whoa, no.
Yeah.
No one did it. No one called him out. Yeah. And I know several people in that organization, and I thought, why didn't they say something?
Yeah.
Where they read that and went, oh no, no, you don't get to say that. So we need to call out. We need to hit reply all and be like, way off.
Right.
I get this, this way off.
Yeah.
So there is what's it like when you're silent? So it means you're
complicit. Yeah, silence is complicity, for sure. So it helped. So Letitia calmed herself to form her thoughts and make a coherent comment, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. You don't have to call out racism and be like, "Yo, you racist SOB," but you can say, "Hey, I think that comment's pretty racist."
That made me feel uncomfortable. I can see how you're frustrated about this, but to say that and to mean that, I can't.
Yeah.
I think that's where empathy might be able to.
It was hard.
All right.
If not me, then who? That's right, Letitia. Exactly.
I like you.
Yeah, Letitia's awesome.
Yeah. I like
Hi,
it.
Stephanie.
Okay, my third. This is the third thing I would add to a manifesto in 2020 to keep us sane and together.
Okay.
Third, embrace nuance.
Yay, pantsuit politics.
Embrace nuance. It is not you are with us or you are against us. That's bullcrap.
That's exactly my point.
It's not you are in or you are out.
That's exactly my point about Christian witches.
I know.
It's not all or nothing.
Yeah. So this is, I wanted to put this as the manifesto, but I knew none of you could probably commit to this. Consider third party. If there is nuance, then this binary political system, if you were to really honor all of your nuanced thoughts and actually permitted yourself to not play the game of me or them, I think more of us would vote third party. So I'm not saying you have to commit that way, because some of you maybe really love some nominees that are being considered. But if we embrace nuance, I think some of you should vote third party, and that would be honoring your belief system and your values and your opinions.
My big wet dream, and I said that on purpose so Amy would choke on her saliva a little bit, is for the socialists to create their own party and just start winning elections. Because I would like them to stop tearing down the Democratic Party.
Oh.
And I would like them to just create, they have enough money. It is clear they can raise the money, people. Hi, Tiffany. Love you. She loves our balance so much. It is clear they have enough money that they could go off and have their own party. And that would be great. And then they could stop tearing down the Democratic Party so much. It would be just delightful.
And there are some of us that are...
And listen, I love the libertarians. Like, keep your hands off my guns and my body and be fiscally conservative. Okay, sounds great.
I just feel like if we committed...
But raise your damn money and get it together. Sorry.
I feel like if we committed to embracing nuance within ourselves, to honor truly how we are not one party or the other, and if we permitted others to be nuanced, like me sitting at this table and hearing you say, I identify as a Christian and a witch, and me going, bless your heart. I'm not saying you're wrong.
Bless your heart.
And it's like you sitting there and you saying, I'm pro-life and a feminist, and stop telling me I can't be. Right.
Remember, though, when you hated the word feminist?
Yeah, I hated it. Oh, and today, oh gosh, I got fiery this morning about something I saw on Facebook that basically wrote me off.
But you didn't write about it.
I did not.
Because nuance. So this has always been our call, though. Our call to nuance has always existed.
Yes.
Which is why I mentioned pantsuit politics, because it's like my favorite. Sarah's like, yes, I love all of this. So
Sarah's signing the manifesto.
I think we can commit to nuance. And I think we have to, because guess what? We do not live in a silo, all or nothing. We are not black or white.
No, but we have a system that says we are.
Yes.
Screw the system.
And the system that's how we maintain patriarchy, is if we stay polarized and divided along lines.
And how
I'm a big fan of nuance.
And corruption.
I'm all about
power
nuance.
and authority and corruption are a two-party system. And some of us need to start voting third party, friends. Okay, I have a wrench in the system. I think in this particular commitment.
And nuance?
Yep.
Okay.
I think it's going to make everyone mad, so just let's lean in.
Okay.
If we embrace nuance, here's a thought I had on the drive here, that a lot of conservatives vote in ways to protect what they feel is a religious opinion or belief system.
Right.
And that can do with valuing life and being anti-abortion. It can be being against gay marriage, although that's not a thing. Well, some people say it's that threat. But right. So there are some, I say we, but I don't necessarily line myself that way. But there are people that are more conservative that do vote, and maybe even liberal, that vote based on their belief system, and they are wanting government to be somewhat of a moral authority.
Right.
Now, I have changed in how I vote because I do not believe that a government should be the moral authority. Therefore, I would not vote against gay marriage. So that's maybe nuance for me. Right. But here's the flip side. With immigration, the conversation about immigration and social services, this is where we want government to be a compassionate entity, where there's morality and ethics and honoring other humans. And there are other people, and I say we, again on that other side, that says we should be giving and spreading wealth, and because that's the right thing, because it's moral, it's ethical. And so if you embrace nuance, then you could understand, if you're for refugees and compassion and changing our laws and opening borders, you should be able to empathize with people who also vote for morality in their belief system through their opinions. Mm-hmm. And therefore you realize, I can't call them enemies. I'm actually kind of functioning the same way.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's called nuance. We have to have these conversations in this way.
Yeah.
So it's really important. By the way, speaking of immigration, I've been doing a 4-week series on immigration in the Bible.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. So, and all those videos are we're getting them all put together online. So I think you'd really love them.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Also, if you guys have not watched Netflix series Living Undocumented, you need to.
Yeah.
And I text many of friends and said, I know these are strong words. You need to watch this.
You need to watch this, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It humanizes what is otherwise a great fodder for Facebook debate. Let's screw that and actually get to know people.
All right.
Okay, what's your number 4? 3?
My number 3. Look, it's already 11:30. We got to kick through this quicker.
Okay.
I know. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Number 3. If passion is the root of joy, passion and spirituality can coexist in harmony. And so my third manifesto is that we only follow one law, and that is love. And that if you love, there's nothing else. And you can still disagree if there is love. But I really want people to commit to following that law, the law which is love.
What does that look like?
Which means that Sarah says, I think they want the government to punish and imprison those who don't follow their beliefs. I think that's very true, Sarah, especially when it comes to immigration.
I would disagree.
I think we've been having this conversation in those immigration conversations, and I think people do want to be able to punish and imprison those who don't either follow their beliefs or have the right skin color.
Okay, this is a tangent on immigration, which is fine, but I heard someone say once, and I agreed, if you don't like the law, change the law, but it doesn't mean you ignore the law. So we should go change the law. We should do that. We should advocate for that.
Well, I think that's very true. Hey,
so
Patricia.
We can't just say, we don't like it, start doing these things, start changing this thing without changing the law. We need to advocate to change legislation that instead of ignoring it. So are we trying to punish and imprison? It's currently against.
I think there are people who use the Bible as a moral pulpit from which to imprison people that they don't like.
I think that's very, very few people.
But those people happen to be in power right now.
Well, there are very.
I just quoted the Attorney General on this in my sermon in church on Sunday. There are people who are using that.
Yeah.
And they are in power right now. So, but this gets back to why I think that the third piece of this manifesto has to be to follow the law of love.
Yeah, what does that look like? What does that look like?
Well, it means that you disagree from a loving space. It means that you and I are not going to agree on all of the things.
No.
And that's okay, and I can still love you, and you can still love me. And that is okay. So if we're following, and Sarah just said it, love is inclusion. It means we are inviting people into conversation instead of shoving people out of conversation.
Like I got shut out last week.
Yeah, it means that we as quote unquote liberals stop bagging on Christians because I'm tired of it.
What about just bagging on conservatives?
Well,
or is that the same thing in your mind?
No, I'm talking about there's explicit bagging on Christians. There is constant and explicit bagging on Christians. And I'm constantly in there going, but I'm a Christian. And there's a lot of liberal Christians. I mean, I just sat in a room of 500 of them at the beginning of the month. Like, y'all shut up. Stop. Just stop it.
Is your anger coming out?
No, I'm just annoyed as hell. Yeah, and what Sarah said, above all else, love. Love is everything. And if we are coming from a confrontational position, we cannot call out racism and sexism. We cannot respect each other's boundaries if we are not coming from a space of love. We can't.
Yeah.
We have to.
Yeah,
we cannot.
I will sign it in blood.
Okay, good. Witchcraft. Okay, number 4.
Okay, my number 4, which actually I think has to do with your number 3. I commit to doing the hard work of empathy.
Woo!
And I say hard work because
it's not easy.
Friends. Bye, Sarah.
Bye, Sarah.
And hi, Stephanie. I saw you earlier. It is hard work to empathize and not instantly get defensive. Oh, man. I mean, think of the person you never agree with and you hate their posts and just say, you know what? If I had their experience, I might feel the same.
I'm going to take that one step further and say, think of the person you mostly agree with and you still hate their posts.
Oh, yeah. Do you have to like that?
Well, that was what happened on Saturday.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Think of the friend who you mostly agree with for the most part.
But that one thing.
But then there's that one thing that you cannot empathize with.
Yeah.
And that is hard.
Yeah. I think empathy. So I would define empathy as listening to understand, not to get, debate.
I like that, listening to understand.
Listening to just understand where people are coming from. Just listen to understand them. And then once you understand them, you can have empathy to say, empathy is saying, well, if I felt that way, experienced that thing, had that belief system, I would probably feel the same way. I get why you would feel that way.
Yeah.
There's no agreement. There's no endorsement, but I understand. I'm empathizing that, okay, even if I disagree, I get why you would think that. That is empathy, and that would change everything in 2020. I would change everything in 2020 because it requires love. Yeah. It requires honest love to say, I'm going to listen to understand you and not to debate you and prove you wrong and bring you to my side.
Yeah.
It is hard work.
Yes. We've been doing it for a year.
We have, and it is liberating. It is so liberating, but it is hard.
2 years. We've been doing this for 2 years.
I would want to put that in my manifesto.
I like it.
You like it?
I'm a big fan of that. Petal says, great points. I find the hardest thing is to have love for the person and yet healthy boundaries. I talked about that earlier. Petal, you'll have to do the rewind and see the replay. Okay, my number 4 for my manifesto.
Yes.
Get messy.
No thanks.
I mean really messy. Not in the absolute. So the thing I love about Brene Brown's vulnerability videos, she says in there that religion used to be about nuance and mysticism, and now it's an absolute. Sit down, shut up, I'm right, you're wrong. Yeah, that whole idea. So I want people to get messy and know it when you are triggered. So the key is to know it when you're triggered so you can walk away. Because the only way to get messy is to be open to the mess without attacking. It's really, really, really important. And I'm going to say this. One of the things that I have really been thinking a lot about is seeing the image of God in all. And I was actually pushed on this recently because it is really hard for me, because in our church, we pay for the president every week. And let me just tell you.
What do you mean?
We pray for the president and all elected officials.
I thought you said pay.
No,
I was like,
pray.
Tell me about this.
I pray. We pray for the president. We pray for the governor. We pray for all elected officials that they have wisdom and guidance from God.
So you pray for Trump?
Yeah. You can imagine how I feel about that. It's really hard.
Do you do it or do you not do it?
I stay silent.
Can you not do it?
Part.
Yeah.
I stay silent during that part. But the trick is we have been trained to live in a hierarchy. And that is not how the world is intended to be. I don't believe. If we are coming from a space of love, and we aren't supposed to be in this hierarchical structure, we're supposed to be listening to everyone. And so if you can be open to the mess without attacking, I think we need to be open to the mess without attacking.
Yeah.
It's the thing that drives people most nuts about our conversations, because we don't actually attack each other, and it makes people really frustrated.
And no one's winning. Right?
Yeah.
No one wins in this conversation.
Leanne, I don't want to love all people who don't agree that humans deserve the basic same rights. And I know you're being honest. And what I gotta say is I don't want to love them either, but I think that's what we have to start doing. Because you can call out racism and sexism from a space of love and not anger. And I think that's what we have to start doing, or else nothing is going to change. It is a brain twist, Letitia, and it's a great one to exercise. That's exactly it. It's really, really hard. But if we can do it, I think it's going to shift things. And I hear where you're at, Leanne, but I really, truly believe that there are definitely people on the fringes that this is not necessarily the people that you're going to end up engaging with. But I think so many of us are in the middle, and we wobble around in this sort of messy ether. And those are the people that you can actually shift and change with.
Change with.
Change with.
Ooh, that was an important
not change,
phrase.
Not change.
That's right.
Change with.
Yeah.
Because you and I have definitely changed.
Yeah.
But we change with each other.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it. I hear you. We're all equal.
Well, I don't know that we're all equal. And we are all the other, and we are all one. And yes, Petal. That is good. What we resist persists. Yes, Tiffany.
Get messy.
Are you willing to get messy?
Get messy. Kind of has to do with nuance.
Yep.
Nuance will be messy.
Yep.
So we're choosing to empathize with people you don't agree with. That gets messy, because then people will say, you're not gay enough. You're not bi enough. I'm not Christian enough. Because we're recognizing nuance, engaging with love. And people say, no, be angry. That's the other. Stop it.
Oh, I get those messages.
No, they actually aren't worthy of love. You should hate them.
Yeah.
And we don't think that's how things are going to change.
We have to stop with this all or nothing thinking. It doesn't work.
Okay, I have a fifth one. Are we okay to move on?
Yep.
Okay, my fifth thing that I would add to a manifesto where we would all commit to 2020, all of y'all, diversify your news sources and don't treat them like Bible. And by Bible, if you don't believe in the Bible, then insert, and don't treat them as absolute truths.
Yeah. The news does not have all of the information.
This gets
I don't read the news.
How do you find out what things are happening?
I have particular sources that I will go to that are not mainstream media. Rant Media is one of them. Rewire News is another one. I read Dame Magazine. Like I do not treat them as all or nothing sources. So I stay. Rant, RANTT Media is an independent news source, and then Rewire.news is another one of my favorite ones. And I love that you've pulled up your infographic of all of the major media outlets. I don't love reading the news. I really, I hear you, Petal. We should all be equal, and we have to strive for that. But I would really like to strive for us just learning how to talk to each other without ripping each other's faces off. That's really.
Yeah, yours is a beautiful face. I wouldn't want to rip it. So here.
I love this idea of read it from the manifesto again.
Okay. Diversify. I commit to diversifying my news sources in 2020 and not treating the media as Bible or absolute truth. This article has all the truth and all the right angles, and the outcome, the result, the assumption being made is truth. I mean, we got to stop. Here's where I'm going to push you. And practically, what does this look like? Would you read Fox News?
I have read Fox News and I've watched Fox News. No, I used to live with it because I lived with my father-in-law.
Okay.
24-hour Fox News cycle.
I don't like Fox News.
Did you know they've actually, there's several documentaries that have come out about Fox News?
No, are they awful?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they actually have, they do brainwashing.
Yeah.
The Brainwashing of My Dad is one of them. If you have never watched The Brainwashing of My Dad, so you got your little documentary piece in.
Yeah.
I highly recommend y'all watch The Brainwashing of My Dad because holy crap.
Yeah. Here's what I'm going to say. I don't like Fox News. I do think it's slanted and biased. I read it anyway.
I think MSNBC and CNN are slanted and biased.
They are, and I read them. I read all of them. And there are ones that I roll my eyes at and think, the point is not that I open it, scan, roll my eyes, and say I did it, but to say maybe this has a piece of the truth.
Yes.
And maybe this one has a piece of the truth. And it is so much more work. It is so much more work instead of going, you know what, CNN, I always agree with them. So I'm just going to read, figure out what's absolute truth over here, and then be mad or have.
But there's no such thing as absolute truth.
Well, there is.
Okay. God, which is love. I know where you're going here.
Okay.
But that's why
I believe that there's absolute truth, but I don't think we should think that what the media
article says. I don't think the
says.
media is absolute truth. Here, let's say that. And also, Letitia's making a really good point that human rights are also a social construct. And they're good and right, and we should follow them. But that doesn't change the fact that they're just a construct like everything else. And this actually is the perfect lead-in to my number 5. I'm keeping us on time.
Thank you.
To my number 5. And it is this. Stop feeding into the ideas that you have been fed by white Christian men. The Bible was written by brown colonized people. Therefore, we should listen to them. So, if we are willing to commit to thinking about reading through their eyes instead of our eyes, and we can commit to listening to other people's lenses instead of our own, especially if those people are brown and black and Native American, then we are going to shift the way we think in this country. And it won't mean, to wrap this all the way around to the beginning, witches aren't bad people, but we need them to be because we have to have an enemy. People of color are not bad people, but we need them to be because we need to have an enemy.
Could I venture to say white Christian men are not evil, but we need them to be the enemy?
Yes, you can say that, but I also need to say that we have got to raise the voices of people of color and commit to doing so in order to shift how this country is moving.
Totally agree. I don't think I could commit to that in the manifesto just because of the way it's worded.
Okay.
But I can commit to the concept of what you're saying.
Okay.
Yeah. I think unintentionally you set up the common enemy.
Yep, I think you're right.
Yeah,
I'm willing to own that.
So reword it, and I get the heart intention and what you're committing to, and I am all in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So empathy towards someone who doesn't subscribe to the same system is definitely hard as fuck, but it's exactly the challenge. Yep.
Well, and here we talked about this 1,000 times. Empathy is different than endorsement. You don't have to agree or endorse to say, I get why you feel that way. Yep. But then if you're on this, my team or your team, as soon as you empathize, you're going, oh no, you're talking to the other team. Oh no, you can't say that you understand where the other team's coming from.
Right.
Right. So anyway, so that's our attempt at 10 items on our manifesto for 2020 of what we are willing to commit to, not post, not write, not say, and to change our heart,
call each other out on it,
but call out, change internal, choose to change what we do externally. I mean, this is a tall order. I mean, this is a tall ask.
And I think the really critical
we might be the only ones signing this.
Probably. But I know everyone else is like, no way. It's not going to happen. But I will say that I would really like to hammer home this point.
Okay.
Asking questions that are invitational and not confrontational, I actually think, Leanne, will help you also feel better about this idea of connecting with people and having empathy with people who do not believe in basic human rights. I don't need everyone to believe that I deserve basic human rights. I really don't. As a bisexual woman who really moves along in all of these different spaces, I don't really need people to be committed to my human rights. I just need them to stop taking them away. That's all. I don't need them to believe in my need to have that. I just need them to stop attacking them. And there is a difference between shifting someone and being willing to connect with someone. And I think that's where being invitational versus confrontational. I have been confrontational. I have had those experiences. I think there's room for that because it balances and makes, without Malcolm X, Martin Luther King would have looked like an extremist. There's room for that. But I don't think the majority of us fit in that room.
Yeah. I would say just in the wording. So we talk about language a lot in the wording of people who deny the basic human rights of others. I think you can deconstruct that to sound a little less like Amy, there are evil people that deserve hate. Okay. So what human rights are you talking about? What exactly are they trying to take away? And I think I think it's probably more nuanced unless you're listening to the extreme voices.
Yeah.
And then maybe I can understand how you feel that way. I would deconstruct that language.
Yep.
And I think you might arrive easier at love.
Yep. Yeah, I think so.
Well, friends,
thanks for being here.
Okay, so here's our invitation. We're past time, but here's the invitation. There are things that drive you bonkers that you say, I don't know how I could do this in 2020, but dang, I think this would shift things. Here's what I would add to the manifesto. Here's what I want people to commit to. And that might not make the list because ultimately we get to decide. But we want your contribution. We want you to.
The world.
We're in charge of the world. Our world.
So add to the manifesto.
What could you get behind? You're like, nope, could never agree to that. Or what would you add? We want this to be collaborative. I think we're going to do a live event in Corvallis.
Yeah, we're going to do a live event in Corvallis. We're going to
physically invite a room of women.
November.
To create this manifesto with us. And by 2020, we want it out there and it be physical. And we want people on board with us.
Yeah, so come see us in Corvallis live.
Bye friends.